Yeah, it's that time of the year, the video that I always dislike making because, well, I'm telling you about the stuff that I
hate, double hate, loathe entirely.
and that is the worst albums that come out within each year. At least to me, it's always my list. So when people freak out about it, how they don't think it's, the worst thing they've heard, that's fine. That's your opinion. But to me, these albums just suck. And obviously, it was also a year of attempted comebacks that also kind of failed as well. There was a lot of that going on, and it just was a very disappointing year in that sense. There was a lot of good stuff that came out, but there was also some bad stuff that really just made this year, not worth listening to much music in the first place. And well, we're going to start that countdown right now as my 10 worst albums of 2025 list starts off with number 10 at a band that everybody seems to like, but I just don't see the hype around. Yeah, I've been very critical of Sleep Token. It's not that I think they're the worst thing in the world. I just find them boring sometimes. Like, they're always trying to make these big, epic songs every single time, and that wears out its welcome every so often. The first couple times you hear it, you're like, okay, cool, this is something different. But by, like, the fifth or sixth time past that, you're just like, alright, this is getting to be way too much, and their new album, even in Arcadia, was just way too much of that trying to be epic when it didn't really need to be. Plus, I'm just kind of getting tired of these, anonymous masked bands and all this kind of stuff. It's just overplayed at this point, and I think that it just kind of needs to go away. That trend needs to die off. And with Sleep Token, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to hate every album they put out, but for the most part, as long as I'm not sitting here following the hype that everybody else is following, then I think I'll be fine. But this was hyped up to hell and back, and it really wasn't even that entertaining.
If I want to hear your feedback, I'll let you know.
I really thought that A Day to Remember would find a way to rebound after the disaster that was You're Welcome, but yet here we are with another disaster, that being Big Old Album Volume 1, and guess what? Volume 2 is going to graze us next year, so who knows where that's going to go. I mean, God, what was it, 3 years ago, the first single of this release, which was Miracle, and hey, by some miracle, it was a good song, and I thought, okay, maybe they could rebound, but then the problem with this album is that there's just way too much going on here. The lyrics become even stupider than before, and I just feel like that everything that was going right for A Day to Remember early on when it came to their songwriting and being able to, make some pretty decent songs and some great albums, they're just kind of pulling things out of a hat to see what works at this point in their career, when it's just like, no, I mean, I'm not asking you to go back to the basics, but Jesus Christ, what happened to the days of when you were just able to release an album and from start to finish, everything about it was just perfect? This is way too overbloated, way too overdone, and heck, after Miracle, when they released the song Feedback, I said, oh yeah, it's going to repeat itself. This album is not going to be great. I mean, yeah, they can say whatever, fuck you with your feedback to the last album, we don't care, but at the same point in time, Jesus Christ, it was everything I hated about the last album and more, and you're putting it on this record. It didn't make it any better.
I love pretty girls. I like pretty girls.
Here's one of those failed comeback attempts in 2025. I mean, did we really need Will Smith to return to music at all? I get it, ever since he slapped Chris Rock, things have kind of been a little rocky for him, no pun intended, and nobody really wants to hire him on as an actor anymore, which, granted, you did it to yourself. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's your fault. You're where you're at. And then he does that weird kind of freestyle where he's just saying, I'm back, motherfuckers, and I'm badder than ever. But it's so funny because it's Will Smith. So when he tries to act tough as a rapper, you just can't take him seriously. He can act the tough guy well in movies because he's acting, he's not trying to be serious. But with this thing, he's trying to be serious, and I'm like, dude, you wrote songs like Parents Don't Understand and The Fresh Prince and Get Jiggy With It, Wild Wild West, Men in Black. Nobody is going to take you being a tough rapper seriously. And plus, it wasn't great at all. There was nothing on this album to like. It was like he was living in the 90s where he thought we were trying to, go off the cheesiness like he would back then, with the cheesiness of his songs and how they were more, I guess you could say, family-friendly oriented because he didn't curse and this, that, and the other. But Will Smith at this point is just trying too hard to stay relevant, and needless to say, it did not work. I mean, need I say more? You're probably surprised as this is only at number 7, but I've said it before, and I'll say it again. For years, Taylor Swift has been pumping out the same albums over and over and over again with no substance of anything, and it's just boring every single time. That's what this album is. It was everything I expected it to be, which was just plain bad and a snooze fest. And at this point, I don't know. I'm thinking about just retiring her from the channel because there's nothing really to talk about, and until she gives me something interesting to talk about, why even bring it up in the first place?
'Cause I got better since you got gone.
I mean, at least he titled his album I'm the Problem, so he's kind of starting to understand. But seriously, why does Morgan Wallen release so many songs on his albums? Why do we need 30 songs from him? 10 songs is even more enough. 2 is more than enough from him. But like 30 plus, it just burns my ears. He's that stupid, generic country that really, unless you're like a really redneck hillbilly, nobody even likes. He mixes a lot of pop in with it too, and with just his past history of being an asshole, I just don't want to go into his music and listen to it as thoroughly as maybe I would with other things. But, I choose to, because at some point, I gotta give these a chance. I can't just go off of, well, he's a bad person, so his music's bad. But I've come to realize that not only is he a bad person, but his music's actually bad. It's terrible. And he pumps out these songs on these albums to reach the algorithm and the streaming so that way, he can cash in, or his record label can cash in on it, and that's just what makes this bad. It's like he's not even trying. He's just like, alright, I wrote the 100th hit song I can write about drinking beer and driving tractors and getting drunk, so here you go, record label, do this 30 times. I did this 30 times over, and it's like, we don't need to hear it 30 times over. Please stop.
Baby, you're priceless. I never had anything like this. I'm missing my head on your thighs.
Did I intentionally put Maroon 5 in the number 5 spot? Yes, I did. And we are now at the failed comeback attempt number 2. After Geordie, their last record did not do particularly well as they wanted it to do, they come back with Love Is Like, which, to the band's credit, they actually sounded like a band throughout some of these tracks because you were starting to hear the bass and the drums and the guitar again, like it actually sounded like an actual band. The problem, somehow, some way, they're still making that generic, boring pop music that they've been making for years since they decided to pivot away from the more, kind of funk rock, alt rock leaning thing that they used to do that made them at least somewhat interesting. It's just like Adam Levine and company are just so out of ideas, and they thought that if they came back with, guitar and bass and drums, that everybody would be like, yes, Maroon 5, this is what we've been asking for. And it's like, no, it's not necessarily what we've been asking for. Like, it's getting there, but you lost the plot years ago, and you're still looking for it. Like, at this point, you're still very, very far away from the plot in general, and Maroon 5, I hate to say it, has become irrelevant, because after Geordie underperformed, they really would have had to have come back with something big for people to care again, but I can tell you now, people don't care anymore.
When I see you around, I don't wanna talk about.
I mean, this band is just getting on my nerves at this point. How was Wake Up Sunshine so good? And now 2 releases later, you're continuing to put out shit. Like, I thought that Wake Up Sunshine was going to be the rebound that All Time Low needed. But now we're here with the second album in a row that has made my worst of the year list. And I don't understand it anymore with these bands. It's like they've just completely just stopped trying, stopped caring, and are just shitting stuff out to shit stuff out because, I don't know, there's still some people that'll listen to it. But I'm 27 years old now, and you're singing about the same shit that I was listening to when I was like 11 or 12 years old, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't relate to that anymore. Like, I'm a grown-up. Can we grow up? Can your music grow up with you? Or are you kind of just stuck in this early 2008, 2009 kind of pop punk, you know, stereotype that's just been long gone for years? I mean, All Time Low just cannot seem to get back on track. They went the complete opposite way years ago, and now they're lost trying to find their way back. And when they seemed like they were on the right path, they realized, oh, shoot, we took a wrong turn. Let's go back this way to what wasn't working before. And it's leading me to believe that they're just, they're not good anymore. And I think it's okay for me to say that because I've come to that realization.
Talking legit is irrelevant. You need to just peanuts to the elephant. I'm the wrong elephant to fuck with.
Comeback attempt number 3, or failed comeback attempt number 3, is also my number 3 pick with The Carter 6 by Lil Wayne. I mean, let's be honest, anybody who thought this album was going to be good was kidding themselves from the beginning. Lil Wayne has not released a good album in a good 17, 18 years, and he pops up every so often, but it seems like when he releases an album, it's just pure and utter dog shit, and really hasn't made a good Carter album since, what, the Carter 4, which again was way back when. I think I was in high school when that came out. He's just, again, trying so hard to still prove that he's one of the best, which to me, he never really was. Like, he was always good, but I never saw him as like, oh, he's one of the greatest of all time, he's one of the greatest of this generation. He was just kind of one of the rappers of all time, because he would make good stuff, but then for whatever reason he would come back and just make complete and utter shit. And with the Carter 6, there's just so much here that just doesn't work. And there's that, what was that song? It's like an elephant song or elephant noise or something of the sort in it, and I'm like, who is this for? Why did you make this? Who told him this was good? Like, you should know at this point in your career that this shit is going to get memed to hell and back. And yes, that might help with streams, but it's not because people are enjoying the song. They're laughing at you, and that should not be your end goal for someone who, like you, Lil Wayne, who is accomplished in the rap scene like you are. You should not be just contempt with making a song that will get streams because people are laughing at you. That's when you know that you have just completely hit rock bottom. And to me, I don't think he's ever coming back from it, ever.
'Cause it feels so mystical, magical, oh baby, 'cause once you know.
I mean, at least this album doesn't have beautiful things on it, but my god, this guy cannot sing to save his life. Why do we pick the weakest singers as the best singers? I remember people saying that Louis Capaldi was one of the best singers in recent memory, and I'm like, are you hearing the same thing that I'm hearing? And it's like the same thing with Benson Boone. You know, I keep hearing how he's a really good singer, and I'm just like, but what I'm hearing is not computing to what you're saying. Like, sure, you can have your opinion, but I mean, if you like screaming weasel sounds as, you know, someone singing, then okay, Benson Boone's for you. But for me, it's very annoying and whatnot. Like, it's not even that his voice cracks sometimes. Voice cracks can work when singing in music, but his are just so to the point where it's like, he's straining himself so much. Like, dude, if you can't sing that high, you can't sing that high. Nobody's gonna hold it against you, okay? There's no reason that you need to be doing that. It can definitely hurt your voice down the line. Plus, he's just generic. Like, I know people call him like pop rock, alternative rock here and there, but to me, I don't know. I'm like, I can't even call him that just because of how generic his music is. And really, outside of little girls, I don't really know who else likes him at this point. It's just, he's an artist that's annoying to the core, and within like the next couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised if the Benson Boone hype died off. Alright, well, as you know, before we get to the number 1 worst album, or what I thought was the worst album of the year, we always have to go through 5 dishonorable mentions. These albums were bad, but maybe not bad enough to put on the list compared to what I actually have on here. So, in no particular order, here are the dishonorable mentions.
Two-tone young APs, looking like Weez. Happens inside and clean, shout out and bleed. I told her I'm beat like
Playboi Carti's music. I mean, in a way it is music, but it's not good music.
Ooh, I used to love you, but every day I hate you just a little more.
Your typical Ed Sheeran album that really leaves you with nothing more to say.
Now it's not too late to change everything you want.
You can apply to Yellow Card what I applied to All Time Low. This is another one of those failed comeback attempts where everybody was hyping up this Yellow Card comeback and it was just a big letdown. Okay, this one I can explain. I can explain. Just calm down for a second, alright? A year after releasing her biggest album to date, Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter was quick to follow it up with Man's Best Friend. And I'm not sitting here saying this album's terrible or it's horrible, but compared to Short and Sweet, yeah, Man's Best Friend was just kind of okay-ish. Like, I thought about putting it in my disappointing albums, but it wasn't that I was disappointed in it. I just knew that she followed up her biggest album too quickly, and I knew that was going to come back and hurt her in the long run. Granted, some of the singles are fine. I like Taste, I like Man-Child, those are good songs, but there's things on there, there's songs that I've just completely forgotten about already because they weren't memorable enough, or they were just too plain and simple for me to go, yeah, this is a banger. So, about this next one, it was Kanye West's Bully Volume 1, which was released. The whole album Bully, it was not, it's actually due out in January. Mainly, I wanted to talk about it because I knew it was out, but I didn't know to what extent, and I had heard the songs off of Bully Volume 1 thinking that that was the full album, and they weren't. So for that, I apologize. But I still feel like I need to put Bully Volume 1 on here in one way or another, because at this point, Kanye West has dug his grave so deep with the things he's done and said, and yes, I know giving him any sort of attention will build the clout, whatever, I'm saying his name, I'm talking about him, but at this point, he's just not worth listening to, he's not worth giving our time to, you know, it's, at this point, I'm just done and over with him, and that's really all I have to say about that. Alright, well, with the dishonorable mentions out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, we have a first 3-time winner on any of these lists. As for the 3rd time in 4 years, this man has topped the worst albums of the year list. He just can't stay away, and wouldn't you know it, he changed genres again.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Tell me, would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone. I got a lot of right in me.
I don't know how he keeps doing it. I really don't know. I mean, I gave him and Trippie Redd the worst album of the year last year with their genre sad boy thing, and I said, okay, maybe I'll just get a year where MGK is not doing much and he can stay off the list, but Jesus Christ, and it's not that I set out to put him on the number 1 spot of the worst of the year list, but it was genuinely just so bad that it was the worst thing I listened to on the year again. He kind of ditches the pop punk, or at least it's still kind of there, but there's a more, you know, dance element to it, and it's just so mumbled. He mumbles his way through things. Megan Fox even helped write a song on here, which is like, what the fuck? We talk about a guy who's just losing the plot. He has lost it, and he's lost it, and he's lost it, that at this point, he's too far to turn back. If he goes back into rap, nobody's gonna want to hear it, and even the whole pop punk thing that he's doing and adding to it, it's just like, man, what are you doing at this point? Like, you're free to do whatever you want to do musically, that's fine, but you still don't understand, you gotta make it good, and you still fail to do that, so just congratulations, MGK. You are the first 3-time winner for the worst albums of the year. And maybe next year you'll be a 4-time winner. I don't know if you plan on releasing an album again next year, but let's just hope and pray that he doesn't, because trust me, I'm tired of putting him on these lists, let alone at the number 1 spot. And I know that you're tired of seeing him there, and I will try my best to make sure that next year there's something more bad than MGK that I listen to, so that way I can put that at number 1 and prove myself and many others right. Well, there you have it. Those were the 10 worst albums in 2025 that I heard, and like I said, it's my list. You're gonna disagree with me, and that's okay. I'd really like to hear in the comments below if you disagree with me on some of my choices. Why did you like these albums? And maybe I should give one of them a second chance. I don't know. Trust me, I went back and listened to these albums again, so that way I can put them in order. And some of them I changed my mind on. Some of them were down here at the beginning of the year, and now they're up here. So it's just these lists are so subjective, and I'm not calling them fact. I'm just saying that these 10 albums that I listened to this year were the worst that I listened to. I would like to hear what are some of the worst albums this year that you heard in the comments below as well. If it's not the same as mine, you might have some different options. And hey, you probably listened to more than I did, because I can't listen to everything either. I'm one human, and I've been super busy this year, but when I did get to listen to albums, these ones were the worst. But until then, that's it for me. Stay safe out there. Have a happy holidays, and I will catch you next week with the 10 best albums that I heard in 2025.